Welcome home, brave heroes, and Kylords alike. I'm Ash, this is Ash Quest, and today we're going to be restarting my Lone Wolf campaign that I started on Amalgam Ash right from the very beginning with Flight from the Dark, this time using the new edition from Home Guard Press. Lone Wolf is a solo adventure, an interactive text in which you make choices. The only tool you need is just a pencil. The book itself comes with the character sheets that you will use to create your character for the adventure. Actually, 2 copies of such, and the random number table at the very end, which is utilized by closing your eyes and poking your pencil at the book. When you open your eyes, the result that you get is what you have rolled, essentially, and I just got a 0, so that's a fantastic sign for how this whole playthrough is going to go. The new edition of the text, though, actually suggests that you can use, if you wish, a 10-sided die, and so that is actually what I'm going to be using for this playthrough. Rather than poking at numbers, I'm going to roll a 10-sided die. I just rolled a 1. I don't know if this is a sign for me to just quit here. Lone Wolf can be, in places, outright difficult, sometimes even unfair. You will reach passages throughout the book that give you choices, and when you select certain choices, you could be led straight to your doom. It is in that spirit that I'm going to implement a home-brewed rule, a home rule, if you will. I'm going to be implementing save points. Now, if you kept up with my previous series, you'll know how this works. I write down a page number, and it is from that page number I will start my adventure if I die. And the ways that we could die in this adventure are losing in combat to an enemy, at which point, if that's my only way forward, I will reattempt the enemy. And if I lose again, I will take any other alternative route around the enemy that I can, if one is available to me. If I can't, I will have to continue fighting the enemy over and over until I get lucky. But we'll keep a record of all of the times I die in this manner. And I could utilize a save point if a passage immediately kills my character, which can happen from time to time. You can fail to use a specific Kai skill that you may not have, and not be wary of immediate fatal danger. So without further ado, let us begin Flight from the Dark. If you'd like to enjoy this experience as a sort of podcast, that is fine. We won't have a lot of visuals here other than the art and the text. And just as a side note, I have the Pacer editions of Lone Wolf from volume 1 to, I think, just 14. So I'm not even halfway done with the entire series. The books increase in price by orders of magnitude as you go on. So I will continue collecting the Home Guard Press books. I think some of the newer ones have issues. I think some of the new ones actually can soft lock you due to them just being pushed out and just a few errors not being caught. When I catch wind of the newer editions coming out and being completely corrected, I will continue adding those to my collection. But I probably won't even get a chance to get to those books before they are corrected and re-released, reprinted. So it's really a non-issue for me. It just means that I can't collect them ahead of time. The story so far. In the northern land of Sommerland, it has for centuries been customary for parents to send their most gifted children to the monastery of the Kai on the occasion of their 7th birthday. There, they are taught the skills and martial disciplines of their noble ancestors. The Kai are masters of their art, and the children in their charge love and respect them in spite of the hardships of their training. For one day, when they finally have mastered the disciplines of the Kai, they will be able to return to their homes equipped in mind and body to defend themselves and their kin against the constant threat of war from the Dark Lords of the West. In olden times, during the age of the Black Moon, the Dark Lords waged war on Sommerland. The conflict was a long and bitter trial of strength that ended in victory for the Sommerlanding at the Great Battle of Machengorge. King Ulnar I, himself gifted with Kai powers, aided by the allies of Durinor, broke the Darkland armies at the pass of Moytura and forced them back into the bottomless abyss of Machengorge. Vashna, mightiest of the Dark Lords, was slain upon the sword of King Ulnar, called Sommerswerd, the Sword of the Sun. Since that age, the Dark Lords have vowed vengeance upon Summerland and the House of Ulnar. Now it is the morning of the feast day of Femarn, the first day of spring. It is an old tradition to the Kai to gather at their monastery in the foothills of the Durncrag Mountains on Femarn, in order to reaffirm their fealty to the god Kai and to the Summerlanding House of Ulnar. Kai journeymen and envoys have traveled far to return in time for the celebrations marking the beginning of a new year in Summerland. You are a young Kai cadet called Silent Wolf. This is the name you were given by your Kai masters when first you entered the monastery. You are an initiate in this noble order, and this will be the 8th year you have taken part in the Femarn ceremony. Your feelings of pride and excitement are the same now as they were when you first arrived here from your home in the village of Daig, a little over half your short lifetime ago. The past few days have been an exciting time for you and your fellow cadets. The journeymen have been recounting their tales of battles won and quests fulfilled in distant lands. On this fateful morning, you have been sent to collect firewood in the forest as punishment for your inattention in class. As you are preparing to return, you see to your horror a vast black cloud of black leathery creatures swoop out of the western skies and engulf the monastery. The Dark Lords, ancient enemy of the Somlanding, are attacking. War has begun. Dropping the wood, you race to the battle that has already begun, but in the unnatural dark, you stumble and strike your head on a low tree branch. As you lose consciousness, the last thing that you see in the distant shadows is the walls of the monastery and its warning tower, the crystal beacon, crashing to the ground. Many hours pass before you are awake. With tears in your eyes, you now survey this scene of destruction. Raising your face to the clear sky, you swear vengeance on the Dark Lords for the massacre of the Kai warriors. And with a sudden flash of realization, you know what you must do. You must set off on a perilous journey to the capital city to warn the king of the terrible threat that now faces his people, for you are now the last of the Kai. You are now Lone Wolf. So the game rules I will explain briefly for those who haven't played Lone Wolf. We would be keeping a record of our adventure on the action chart at the beginning of this book. I'm going to be using some paper, sketchpad paper, and I'll be writing in pencil everything that I acquire throughout my journey. We have CS, which is combat skill, a base value. We can also modify this with various skills, weapons, and backpack items. And we have endurance points. This works like body points, hit points, wounds. This is how many hits we can take before we can die. We'll have a max value, and this number can also be changed by various pieces of equipment and items. I'll be keeping a running total on the right side of my sketchpad as to how many endurance points I have, as this can change while I'm in combat. There are a multitude of Kai skills. Each one gives us a very special ability, and we can choose a number of these Kai skills. We'll have to choose carefully, but I believe I'll be trying for the same build that I started in my previous playthrough. We can have also 2 weapons on our person and a backpack, which can contain up to 8 items, unless the item is not stored in the backpack, in which case the text will tell us. And we can carry special items. We can also carry gold crowns, the currency of the land, and we have a pouch that will carry up to a maximum of 50. Now, we've got some house rules in play here, one of which is I'm definitely going to be using a 10-sided die, which is suggested by the text, instead of using the random number table. And I will be saving, so I'll be writing down a page as soon as I begin, just to protect myself from going on a long journey only to die at the hands of a wrong choice and an instant death passage. During your training as a Kai initiate, you have developed your fighting prowess, or combat skill, and your physical stamina, endurance. The first number that you pick from the random number table represents your combat skill. Add 10 to the number you chose and write the total in the combat skills section of your action chart. Now there is a play option. Pick 3 numbers from the random number table first, then choose which one among them represents your combat skill and which one represents your endurance. I like this, and so I'm going to roll this die 3 times and select 2 of the numbers for my combat skill and endurance points. The first time that I began this series, I rolled a 1 for my combat skill, and there was a viewer who was concerned that I would not be able to survive the later adventures with such a low combat skill. So if I roll a 1, or rather more than 1, I'm going to mulligan that 1, and we were going to try for a higher score. I'm not trying to cheese this until I get 10s. I just need more than a 1, I think. I don't think it's impossible to complete the series with these low combat scores, but I'd rather not grind the same battle over and over and over again. And the first number we've rolled is a 6. And the second number we've rolled is a 7. I like both of those numbers. And the third number we have rolled is also a 6. So we can choose a 6 and a 7. So I might as well go all in on my combat skill. I'm going to assign the 7 to my combat skill, giving me a total of 17 as a base. And obviously the only other real option I have is the 6. So endurance points, we actually add 22. So we have 26 endurance points maximum. I should write these values in pen, but I'm not going to change them again. Don't worry. They will stay 17 and 26. That's a pretty good character. That is definitely more than middle of the bell curve. I want to show you the figurine that I am using to kind of just represent my lone wolf character today. This is one of the Nolzur's D&D minis I acquired a long time ago. I don't like their scale, so I don't really use them for anything, but this is a great use case for this mini. He's wearing the cloak. He's got his weapons out. Looks like a pair of daggers. I believe this is the human rogue, if I'm not mistaken, specifically, but I digress. We have created our character, and we can continue on selecting our Kai disciplines. Over the centuries, the Kai have mastered many useful skills which are passed on from generation to generation. These skills are known as the Kai disciplines, and they are taught to all Kai lords. As a Kai initiate, you have learned only 5 of the skills listed below. You must choose your 5 Kai disciplines before you set off on your adventure. As all of the Kai disciplines will be of use to you at some point during your mission, pick your 5 with care. The correct use of a discipline at the right time can save your life. When you have chosen your 5 disciplines, enter them in the Kai discipline section of your action chart. So, I chose healing in the last one, and that's very, very useful. So I will choose healing again. And although that I can only choose 5 Kai disciplines, I did make space on my character sheet of sorts for 12, because I know after you complete a book, you will be able to choose an additional Kai discipline. So I plan to have many, many Kai disciplines. But for now, I think hunting. This skill, I should read you healing. The reason I chose healing. This discipline can be used to restore endurance points lost in combat. If you possess this skill, you may restore 1 endurance point to your total for every numbered section of the book you pass through in which you are not involved in combat. This is only to be used after your endurance has fallen below its original level. Be sure to remember that your endurance score cannot rise above its original level. So that I actually utilized that a lot in my previous playthrough. And it may be considered easy mode, especially now that I have a 17 combat skill, but hunting This skill ensures that a Kai Lord will never starve in the wild. They will always be able to hunt for food, except in areas of wasteland and desert. This skill also enables a Kai Lord to be able to move swiftly and stealthily. If you choose this skill, write hunting. No need for a meal when instructed to eat on your action chart. I want hunting. I do not want to be able to not eat. Kind of another easy mode skill, if I'm being honest. So, and from here on out, we really don't mind which ones of these we get. I think weapon skill is pretty important. There's a play option here. New text. Different from what's in my Pacer edition. Seasoned readers may use the following rule from the Lone Wolf New Order series to balance their game. The maximum number of endurance points that can be restored using healing is limited to 10 per adventure. You know what? I like that. We'll heal up to 10, and we will see where it goes. But I like that, actually. I'm feeling a bit too powerful. We may utilize that. Weapon skill. Upon entering the Kai Monastery, each initiate is taught to master one type of weapon. If weapon skill is to be one of your Kai disciplines, pick a number in the usual way from the random number table, and then find the corresponding weapon from the list below. This is the weapon in which you have a proven skill. When you enter combat carrying this weapon, you add 2 points to your combat skill rating. The fact that you are skilled with a weapon does not mean you set out on the adventure carrying that particular weapon. Alright, I have a much higher combat skill than I did when I started my first time, and the combat skill was so low that I chose weapon skill. I think that I could probably skip weapon skill if I wanted, but I'm not sure. I think I like weapon skill, and I think I can afford it because the other 2 skills that I really want, kind of the only ones that I want really, are I think Mind Blast and Animal Kinship. But we'll go ahead and choose weapon skill. So we're going to roll the 10-sided die and we'll gain proficiency with one of these weapon types. And we'll just be an absolute monster if we can manage to obtain that weapon in our adventure. 5. The Warhammer. That, I think I had the exact same mastery when I started the first playthrough. Oh man. So, weapon skill, Warhammer. And I think that's the case because I thought, gee, what a coincidence that it would be a Warhammer. So I'll put a +2 on the weapon skill there on the line under Kai skills, but I'm not going to add it to my combat skill because I don't have a Warhammer necessarily yet. I like that. You cannot carry more than 2 weapons. You may only use 1 weapon at a time. Now, the skills that I skipped over: camouflage, tracking, 6th sense, mind shield. Some of your enemies will have the ability to attack you using psychic force or the power of their mind. I think for this first adventure I won't select mind shield, but I do want mind. I kind of want Mind Blast. This skill enables a Kai Lord to attack an enemy using the force of their mind. It can be used at the same time as a normal combat weapon and adds 2 extra points to your combat skill. Oh my gosh. Not all the creatures encountered on this adventure will be susceptible to Mind Blast. You will be told if a creature is immune. I think I'll do it. I think I will do it. Why shouldn't I be a complete powerhouse at the young age of, I think, Silent Wolf is 15, because when you've been at the monastery for 8 years, which is over half your life, that's 8. That's 15. All right. Very good. Now for my 5th and final skill, Mind Over Matter. Mastery of this discipline enables a Kai to move small objects by focusing their concentration. Not yet. Animal Kinship. This skill enables the Kai to communicate with some animals and predict the behavior of others. In some cases, it can grant a Kai control over an animal's instincts or actions. Mind Shield. Some of your enemies will have the ability to attack you using psychic force. The Kai discipline of Mind Shield can protect you from losing any endurance points when subjected to this form of attack. What's tracking? Tracking, the skill enables a Kylord to make the correct choice of a path in the wild, discover the location of a person or object in a town or city, and read the secrets of footprints or tracks. Sixth Sense can warn a Kylord of imminent danger. It can also reveal the true purpose of a stranger or strange object encountered in the adventure. I'll go with animal kinship, I think. That's what I'll do. It's kind of druidic, and I kind of like the idea of playing a bit more of a magical druid-like character than just a very bushcraft survivalist type character, which I know the Kai are kind of a mix between the two, but that's what I want to do. So, we now continue on the equipment section. Your possessions comprise the axe with which you have been sent to fetch firewood. Note this weapon on your action chart. A green tunic and a cloak of a Kai initiate. You also have a backpack with 1 meal in it. A belt, and a leather pouch in which you keep your money, gold crowns. To find out how much money you have, pick a number from the random number table. 0 means 0. The number you choose equals the number of gold crowns you possess at the start of the adventure. Alright. And I possess 8 gold crowns. We'll mark it on my action chart next to pouch. Upon entering the Kai Monastery, every initiate is given a map of the Last Lands. This map shows the location of your native country, Sommerland, and its capital city, Holmgard. It also shows the land of Duranor, the way to the east, and the wildlands which separate the two kingdoms. And by the way, that map is here at the beginning of the book. At least, I thought it was. It is not. Is it in the book at all? Yes. Here is the map of the Last Lands, being the free kingdoms of northern Magnamund. We are at the monastery here in the west, the Kai Monastery. We are very near the Durncrag Mountains. We need to make it all the way to Duranor, which is on the far right side of the map, to the capital of Holmgard. So, that is where we are so far at the beginning of our adventure. This is the cutoff point, unfortunately, and so I will need to stop here and continue this in the next episode. Much of our character creation has been done. We are actually ready to set off on our adventure, and we're done explaining the rules and all of that stuff, so we're really going to pick it up in the next episode. Thank you very much for joining me this time. I hope you look forward to the next episode. I'm going to try to do these no later than weekly, closer together if I can. I will see you next time. Until then, have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.